Okay, let's take a look at some other current liabilities, specifically payroll related liabilities. And it looks like we have three questions, one, two, three, that are going to be related to the same set of facts here. And this is for a company called Knoll Company. Okay? So if you've reviewed the PowerPoint videos, that's great. If you're watching this video and you have not had access to those, you can still learn this concept. You'll just have to follow along a little bit more closely. So our first question says, what amount should Knoll record as a liability to employees? Okay, so if we're just talking about the liability to employees, we need to understand that what we want to start off with is gross pay. Gross pay is our starting point, and in this particular case, our gross pay is $120,000. Salaries, $120,000. That's where I got that figure, $120,000. Okay, so our actual liability to employees is going to be the employee's net pay. So what comes out of gross pay to arrive at net pay? Okay, so the answer to this question, liability to employees, i.e. net pay. Okay, so Fica taxes withheld. This is your Social Security and Medicare taxes, okay, which is 7.65% combined. I'm going to trust these numbers here and assume that 9180 is 7.65% of $120,000. And I'm going to subtract that amount out, okay? This is an amount that the employee is not going to get. Income taxes withheld, $25,000. This appears to be both federal income taxes as well as state income taxes, assuming that this company is located in a state that has state income taxes. So again, this $25,000 will not be found in the employee's net pay, so we're going to subtract that out. Okay? Medical insurance deductions. Okay, looks like we're having to subtract out some of that as well from the employee's pay, so we're going to get rid of that $4,500. Federal unemployment taxes. This is the responsibility of the employer only. It has nothing to do with the employee. And the same is true for state unemployment taxes of $2,160. Therefore, we can simply take our $120,000 gross pay and subtract the FICA taxes of $9,180, the income taxes withheld of $25,000, and the medical insurance deductions of $4,500. And if we do this, I believe we will come up with $81,320 as our answer. Okay? So let's go ahead and move on. The next question, again, using the same set of facts, it says, what amount should Knoll record as a liability to regulatory agencies? Okay. So let's think about this now. We can't start off with salaries and figure out anything. At least we would have to have a whole lot more detail if we were going to do it that way than what we have. So what we have to do is we just have to go through the list. We can ignore salaries. It says FICA taxes withheld. Well, it's withheld from the employee's pay, that is true. But we're going to have to send that in to a regulatory agency, namely the U.S. Treasury, and ultimately to the Social Security Administration. 9180. Now this 9180 that I've written down here is the employee's portion, the part that was withheld. But if you've watched the video that I made, and if you haven't, that's okay, know that FICA taxes must be matched by the employer. So we're going to take this 9180 and we're going to add it again. Okay? Employee portion and employer portion. 9180 and 9180. We've also withheld $25,000 in state and federal income taxes, and we are going to have to send those to the appropriate regulatory body, that $25,000. Medical insurance deductions. Insurance companies are not regulatory agencies, okay? We have an obligation for this medical insurance deduction, but we're not going to calculate it here because it's not a regulatory agency. Fica taxes, or federal unemployment taxes, will go to the federal government, as will state unemployment taxes of $21.60. Will go to the state employment commission. Okay, so if we add all of these figures up, I believe that we will come up with $45,840 liability to regulatory agencies. Okay, and let me just say this with regard to the let's go back to the first question for just one moment. We're going to be paying these employees within 1 month of the time that we owe them. Maybe it's a week, maybe it's 2 weeks, maybe it's a month, but it is less than 1 year, so therefore this is a current liability. These amounts that we're going to pay to the regulatory agencies will be due, depending on the size of the company, either more or less immediately after every payroll, or at the most about every 3 months, about quarterly. So either way, those periods of time are both less than 1 year. Therefore, these are current liabilities. It says, what is the total amount of payroll-related liabilities to be recorded by Knoll? Okay, now we could really stress ourselves out here, but we need to understand that some of these figures here are embedded in this $120,000. Okay, so let's identify those. The taxes withheld, the Social Security and Medicare taxes withheld, are part of the $120,000 figure, as are the income taxes that were withheld, as are the medical deductions. So let's just use let's use $120,000 as our starting point, and then add to that any amounts that are not already included in this initial $120,000 liability. Because really what we did was we just broke this down and we said, okay, $120,000, and then of that $120,000, $81,320 is going directly to the employee, and then we had $91,080 for Social Security Administration, $25,000 for income taxes, and then we had $4,500 for insurance. But these came out of this $120,000 here. Okay, so we can start with $120,000. We would then need to add to that three figures. The first figure is the employer's portion of the Social Security and Medicare tax, the FICA tax. Okay, because that is an additional burden on the employer. And we also need to add the Fica tax of $320, as well as the SUTA tax of $21.60. And if we do that, we should come up with a total payroll-related liability of $131,660. Feel free to check my math.